the Pantone colours. So, as I said, the CMYK colours are really hard to get really bright colours with. So that's why we need another set of swatches, which are called Pantone colours, and they're like specially mixed formula colours made with special inks, and that's why they're called special colours or spot colours. So when you're talking to a printer, a spot colour or a special colour is something that can't be produced with cyan, magenta, yellow and black. It's not a processed colour. And colours like orange are really hard to reproduce using cyan, magenta, yellow and black. They turn out quite browny when they're printed. So let's just have a look at the Pantone colour wheel now. So that's this one, and I'll open the example. So your Pantone colour wheel is going to use colours that are a lot brighter and stronger. So to get those Pantone colours, I'll just show you. Gosh, it's really loud here. I don't know if this recording is going to be any good. I'll try and speak close into the mic. It's just absolutely torrential rainfall now. Okay, so to get the right swatches up, but first what do we have to do? We have to sort of think about the document colour mode. Again, with Pantones, it's better to work in RGB mode, and then, because you don't want these colours made up of cyan, magenta, yellow and black. That's what you don't want, or you'll get the very dull colours. So it's better to work again in RGB mode when you're working with Pantones. So again, make sure the whole thing is ungrouped. So you can click off it and then select particular colours. So go to the window menu and go to your, so it's easing off now, so swatches. You want your swatches, but you want those default swatches to be Pantones now. So to do that, you've got to go up to your swatch libraries, and this time you're going to colour books. So these, you can see there's several of them there. The ones we work a lot with in TAFE are the colour bridge, because they show both. But for this exercise, and so when you're designing with logos, I'll get you to work with colour bridge ones a lot, because they let you compare the more expensive special or spot colour. They let you compare that to its CMYK version of that. But to just work with Pantones, and see there's some other colour books in here. So there's Toyo and True Match. So there are other colour books you could be asked to work with. In Australia and America, it's usually these Pantone ones. With Japan and things that might be printed in Asia, it could be the Toyo, but you'd be told which colour system to use. In Australia, just generally assume it's the Pantone colour books, and look at the solid coated ones. So solid coated just means special colours to go on fairly glossy paper, not on matte paper. So uncoated is matte paper, and the colours don't look as bright on it. So that's why there's a difference. So you get a guide for how they look on dull uncoated paper and as well as coated. So choose the Pantone solid coated, and you can see you get this range of much brighter colours, and when they print they will stay really bright. And so still we're looking at on-screen versions of them. And again, because they are bright colours, it's always better, to be looking at it in RGB. especially if you're trying to send a client, a representation of it, and you know you're going to use a Pantone. It'll look dull if you accidentally try to show it to them in CMYK. You don't want it to print in CMYK. You want the printer to go ahead and make a special mixture of the Pantone colour, and it goes in its own special vat. So if you've got a corporate branding logo, say Qantas, so you've got to print a brochure for them, and it's got colour photos in it, the vast majority of the brochure would be printed using cyan, magenta, yellow and black, because that's really cheap and it's great for normal colour photos. But the logo, the Qantas special logo, and it's special red, would have to be whatever Pantone they tell you it is. So I'll just guess and say it's this one, for example, and you would have to specify that. And then it would be put into a separate vat of ink to go next to the cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So special spot colours have their own separate mixture that's made up, and they're much higher quality pigments, and therefore you get these much brighter colours, but they are more expensive, a little bit. Okay, so let's do the same again. I'm kind of going to ignore the example and just use my yellow here. Pick a yellow you think is kind of a bright yellow to go there. Could be probably that one. And I would always do the red on this side and the blue on the other. It's probably not the brightest blue. Let's go for that one. And you could even go for some brighter, if you prefer. You can see all the way down here, there's some much brighter blues. So here you can use a bit of personal choice. We're looking for what we would think is more like a primary blue. So either choose the one along the top here or one of these down here that you think is slightly brighter. And then again, you're looking for the mixture between the primaries. So the mixture between yellow and red is going to be, guess what? A lovely bright orange. So we know that if we pick an orange from in here, it is going to be, sorry, that's not orange. It is going to be truly orange. And that's a bit too, so maybe my red was a bit too orangey. So I'll pick a redder red, maybe that one. And then this, yeah, that's a better red. And then the halfway point between mixing these two together is going to be an orange. And then in between that, we would have more of a yellow orange. In between this, more of a red orange. And you might have to fiddle around with this. I might have not quite got that right. I think my red I chose is a little too orangey to begin with. So you might have to fiddle with that to get closer to what you, yeah, that might be better. And then the in-between point should be truly an orange, and then this one should be more of a red orange. So sort of fiddle around with it a bit, and I might have got my orange a bit too orangey to begin with, a bit too reddish to begin with. It might have needed to be something more like that. Yes. So make sure there's a distinction. So you're trying to get the halfway point. And then between the red and the blue mixture, when are we going to get a violet? So you usually kind of go for something like that. But you can see the range of colours you've got down here to work with. So you go for a darker one, probably down there. And then the mixture in between would be a reddish. So mix between that and that. So getting your halfway point again is going to be a reddish violet. So it could be something like that. And then a bluish violet is again something with a little bit more blue. So just work your way around. Always start with what you think is the halfway point between the primary and the other primary mixed together, which produces the secondary, which is the green. So again, I'm not so keen on those greens, so I might come down here and look at the range of greens I can choose from. So I reckon that's more of a midway point. And then I know this looks different to the sample, but This is more true to probably your actual colours that you would get. So I'm not sure about following that sample exactly. Might not be a very good sample. So in between that, though, you can see should be a yellowy green, and then in between the true green and the sort of the mid green and the primary blue. So we know that's a secondary. It's a mixture of two primaries, and then the mixture of the secondary with the primary again gives you this tertiary colour. And then do the same again, the mixture between the secondary green and the primary blue should give you a bluey green. So once you've done this on screen, when you're doing it, when you're actually mixing the colours, it should be a lot easier for you. So you'd be physically adding paint when you're doing a paint version of it. Okay, so they're all Pantone colours, and they would all print very brightly, and they probably would look different to what you've got on screen. But the point with the Pantones is that you're following an actual physical swatch. So when you're at a meeting with a client, you can actually show them the colour on paper, exactly how it would print. And it's particularly important for brand colours that you choose at least one Pantone, possibly two. And that way the brand has a unique set of colours, and you're able to have that logo or branding element produced anywhere in the world on any given day on any gloss paper stock, and it should look really similar everywhere it's printed. So it's a bit like a house paint formula, I guess. You're looking at the pigments being a higher quality, and therefore the colour able to be bright. Whereas a CMYK version of this, particularly oranges, particularly any of these tertiary colours, they're just going to look really dull in cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So when we're in class, hopefully next week, I'll show you Colour Bridge, which will let you see something like this orange, and it will show you the Pantone version, and next to it, it'll have a physical colour swatch showing you the CMYK version of that, and you'll see how brownish it would print. So you'll understand the need for these Pantone colours to be used wherever there's a bright colour. Or you'll also find that there are, if I go into those colour books again, if you go into those colour book swatches, you'll see there are other colour books for other unprintable colours, unprintable in terms of you can't print them using cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So notice that there are metallic, for example, pastels and neons. So these are all colour books that are necessary to be able to print things that can't be printed with your cheaper cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So if a client really wants a metallic colour, you would use one of these colour palettes, and I'll draw a little square just to show you. Now on screen they may look really weird, but you'd be showing the client a proper, these might be quite bright, we don't know. Without looking at the physical book, you can't tell. However, when you're making the file for the client, you'd use this colour book and you'd know that it would look exactly like the sample you've shown them. So it's the same with neons, it's the same with the pastels. You simply can't get all of those colours from cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So I'm going to stop there. So I'll stop that recording. So for those of you that